Just about everyone in Michigan knows the story of the Edmond Fitzgerald. The freighter sank into legend when it was overtaken by a storm on Lake Superior in 1975. Nearly 20 years later, TV5 sent a crew under the waves. Let's take this look back.
Darkness surrounds the final resting place of the Edmond Fitzgerald. Broken into two large pieces, its hull is twisted and torn, with only its front half sitting proudly upright. The Edmond Fitzgerald was once the largest ship on the Great Lakes. That distinction may have set cargo hauling records, but it also may have jinxed the vessel. Like the Titanic, no one thought the Fitzgerald could be sunk. The mighty Fitz met its match in a strong November gale in 1975. Many people believe the ship was overloaded, carrying several tons of iron ore beyond what she was originally built for. Built in 1957, the Fitz was nearly 2 decades old, and most ships that old were carrying less, not more. Loaded with over 26,000 tons of ore, the Fitz found herself in a bad situation just north of Whitefish Point, where she vanished from radar after telling the freighter Arthur Anderson that they were holding their own in the storm. 2 lifeboats and some small wreckage was all that was ever found from the Fitz. Not a trace of her 29 crewmen were ever found, until 19 years later.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way that could be anything else but the Fitzgerald. So.
Fred Shannon has been studying the Fitz for over a decade, and while he's regarded as the foremost expert on the subject, he still hadn't seen the wreck himself. Resting in Canadian water, it would take Shannon 2 years and thousands of dollars just to get access to the wreck. The Edmond Fitzgerald has been visited by 5 different expeditions. 2 were by unmanned robots, and 3 more were by manned submersibles. The reason that divers don't visit this wreck is because it's extremely deep. Most divers only go to about 130 feet. Fitzgerald is in 500 feet of water, and to get an idea of how deep that is, 500 feet is from the tip of the Mackinac Bridge all the way down to the waters of the Straits of Mackinac. 500 feet of water is no problem for the research submersible Delta. She can handle pressure twice as deep and has experience on famous shipwrecks. Her crew went with explorer Bob Ballard when he studied the wreck of the Lusitania.
Okay, I'm entering the sub right now. Little tight squeeze to get in here, but we finally made it.
Seeing the Fitzgerald firsthand was an important part of Shannon's investigation on the maritime disaster. But Fred's first voyage to the bottom wasn't all research. He also set out to beat the unofficial dive record, visiting the wreck site.
Roger that. Congratulations, Fred. You beat the record. Whenever you're ready to ascend, you're clear.
Shannon would stay at the bottom for a record 3.5 hours, an incredibly long visit for Fred, but an even longer wait for his wife, Betty. In all, 7 voyages were made to the Edmond Fitzgerald, recording 14 hours of new footage and nearly 1,000 new still pictures.
Now we're still hyped. We have to let it ride down a little bit and let it sit on it a little bit and start to put all this information together. There's so much information that it's going to take longer than what I expected, but we will have it put together. We will take the video films and the still photography on to other experts in maritime engineering and let them make a determination on some of the factors that are far above my expertise.
Experts will also have a new clue to help solve the question of what happened. Fred's team located the first of the missing crewmen just outside the bow section. Expedition 94 had promised surviving family members to find more clues, and the missing crewman was something that surprised everyone.
Over the years, I've had a great amount of respect for the surviving family members that I've met and the people that have been involved in Great Lakes shipping or tragedies. So to actually have this placed at our doorstep really called upon us to show our true colors, which I believe that we did. We first of all honored the area that the body was found by marking it, making a location check, and then not returning to that area to leave it undisturbed.
Fred and his wife had given up their dream home to pay for the $70,000 expedition. Both had a chance to visit the wreck personally, and neither regretted their decision.
The very minute that I saw the Fitzgerald, I knew it was worth it. It was worth everything that I put into it, all the aches and pains, all the sleepless nights, all the migraine headaches, the doubts, the animosities, even the joys at times. Everything was worth it within the first minute that I was on site and looking at the Edmond Fitzgerald.
It is possible for specialty scuba divers to dive the Fitzgerald, but only for a few minutes, and it's extremely risky. The safest way for you to see the wreck is to wait for the documentary and book, due out later this year. Aboard the first ever American submersible visit to the Fitzgerald, this is Rick Mixter.
Just incredible, and we're here with the reporter of that story, Rick Mixter. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Wow, what a look back. That's incredible.
Yeah, we're so happy you're here with us too. And tell us what it was like being down there.
It was a roller coaster ride for us because literally we were excited to see the world's most famous shipwreck on the Great Lakes, most certainly, and our largest shipwreck on the Great Lakes. So very excited there. But then when we found a missing crew member, a complete low where we realized the tragedy that was there too. So I remember emotions running crazy.
Yeah, it's very impactful. So what do you remember most from that story and doing the dive?
I think it's just the amount of media attention that we got. I mean, we probably had as much as when the Edmond Fitzgerald sank because of the body being located. We still don't know for sure if he's from the Edmond Fitzgerald, but it was a major part of the story and one that I still resonates even now, 24 years later. People still want to hear about that. So it's still significant, and I guess it was one of TV5's biggest stories ever, they say. So that's huge to be a part of that.
Yeah, it's exciting to take a look back at that as well. And what do you hope people take away from hearing this story yet again?
I think just the mystery of the Great Lakes. Certainly there's over 6,000 shipwrecks in the Great Lakes, and most of them we haven't even found yet. So the Fitzgerald gets a big front seat for all of that because of the song and because of stories like that. But there's so many other stories out there that I hope that'll be told, and I hope they're not shadowed by the Fitz. And I don't think they are. I think they're brought to light because of it.
Well, it's just been such a pleasure to have you here with us today and go down this trip on memory lane. We appreciate it. It's been so much fun. And thank you for watching the TV5 Vault. We'll have more soon.